True Education at Fargo North, presented by Abigail Bjorley. What is true education? True education is a balance between gaining material knowledge and staying motivated to gain that knowledge at a healthy level. It, of course, has to allow students to learn information, but the need to learn that information shouldn't overshadow the need to feel comfortable and unique in their learning environment. True education shouldn't be competitive either. Students should be motivated in a way that takes into consideration themselves and their peers. Does Fargo North meet the definition of true education? Short answer, no. Long answer, it isn't really North's fault for failing to reach the true education definition. Finding the balance between teaching and inspiring students to be unique is difficult to do, even more difficult in a high school setting. The imbalance isn't something that's just connected to North. Schools all over the world have difficulty showing students that their worth isn't only based on their test scores. North is one of the many schools that struggle with inspiring students to be less harsh on themselves while maintaining a healthy drive to learn. In her 2020 Educational Aims Address, Melissa Gilliam says, "Even though each of us is complex and miraculous and holds multiple identities, we often define ourselves by that identity that is most stigmatized in the current context." Instead of promoting a sense of natural self-worth, many schools, including North, often push success based on the amount of general intelligence a student has instead of the personal qualities. In turn, students base their success off of the same values. North also pushes the college path far more than any other path, which isn't inherently bad, but it can cause confusion and stress for those who aren't sure if they want to go to college. These mindsets lead kids to base their identity only off of how well they do grade-wise. That can cause complications in self-worth and identity. Teacher and author Kathleen Beachboard wrote, "Invisible habits are the routines we fall into without realizing it. They're efficient, but can also misalign with what we say matters most." Invisible habits can be applied to larger groups and systems, not just individuals. It isn't the teachers, students, or principals that cause true education to be overlooked by grades. It's really just the school systems themselves. Grades have been considered more important for decades. It's an example of the invisible habits of school systems that's difficult to change. Former principal Daniel Kennedy recalled the valedictorian position for students and how it impacted relationships, saying, "Soon the kids were doing everything they could to battle it out." The fight for being valedictorian effectively divided the school and the community. Schools commonly pit their students against each other, whether they realize it or not. Though it doesn't always lead to unhealthy competition, students usually find themselves basing their educational worth off of how their peers are doing. If a classmate is doing better than them, it often increases their stress. Say there are two highly intelligent students in one class. Every time one of the students does well on an assignment, the other will see that and try to do better. While that can be seen as a good thing, that sort of competition often leads to deteriorating self-worth and burnout. It can also lead to more hostile attitudes towards the other students. While North doesn't have an announced valedictorian position, it does tend to prioritize the students who are getting better grades overall, like in the National Honor Society. Having a larger group of students be recognized is good for their self-esteem, but those who don't get recognition for their achievements fall behind. In conclusion, hitting the definition of true education is far harder than many realize. Schools and school systems struggle with finding a good balance of hard work and self-worth. Fargo North is by no means a bad school. In many people's opinions, it's one of the best in the state. Though North doesn't fit into the true education idea, it still provides a good learning environment, which is something that all schools strive to do. Thank you for watching.